Do you have a job interview that's coming up that you're feeling anxious about? Then let's talk about how you can show up in the most powerful way possible so you can make the most of the opportunity that's in front of you. Let's jump into it. Hey there, my name is Jeff Perry, leadership and career development expert for engineers and author of The Intentional Engineer and The Intentional Career Guide to Professional Networking. And today we're talking about the best way to approach job interviews. Job interviews are a fabulous opportunity. You've identified that a company that you would like to work with and a role that you would like to have. And they have identified that you could potentially fulfill that role and be a great fit for them. Now it's this opportunity for you to interview each other to say, hey, is this actually going to work out? Is this going to be a fit? So when you have that opportunity, if this is something that you're really excited about and intentionally want to go into to build your career, well, then let's make the most of that opportunity, right? Now, for engineers, there are a number of different types of interviews that you might approach. So there's technical interviews. If you're a software engineer, that means coding. If you're a mechanical engineer, they might do some design project or talk through some of the technical aspects or test some of your knowledge. Or it could be different for a number of different engineering industries, but there's technical types of interviews, and what they're trying to do is validate that you have the technical skills to be able to fulfill the job responsibilities. There's also behavioral interviews, which are extremely common and almost every company will do. This is about when you describe often stories about experiences, projects, and other things that you've been involved in and situations that you've been placed in that helps them understand how you approach different sorts of situations and the beliefs and maybe even mindsets that you have as you approach them. There also are occasionally things like soft skills assessments that might test leadership or teamwork or communication or collaboration that different companies will be able to use to see if you might be the right fit. Okay, so if you've got an interview or a set of interviews coming up, how do you prepare so that when you get to the opportunity, you can execute and show up as your best self? First of all, make sure to do your research. Research on the company and the role you're going to be involved in. With company research, in my mind, one of the most important things that you can dig into is seeking to understand their company culture. You can do this on their website. You can use sites like Glassdoor.com to understand what are the most important things to their culture that they are looking for in candidates and people that will fit into their company. Now, in terms of researching the role, make sure obviously to look at the job description that you applied for, that you are interviewing for. But here's the thing that you really want to be able to answer and do so clearly. What is the problem they have that they need help with? Okay, if you can answer that question and then, more importantly perhaps, be able to effectively communicate how you can be the answer to that problem and help them solve their problem, whether that's capacity, whether that's certain skills, whether that's growing into other abilities or challenges that you faced in the past that you can apply in this new context. You want to be able to effectively communicate that because that will help them see that you could be the right person for the job. Second key thing to make sure to practice and prepare for when it comes to interviews is making sure you spend time on the technical aspects. Now, ask the recruiter or hiring manager as much as possible before you go into a technical interview so that you know what to expect. Sometimes that means that you can practice certain types of problems. They'll tell you about at least categories or types of challenges that you might be able to do and practice those. Go find other examples of those types of problems or questions online that you can answer and practice. Not that you're going to memorize things, but you want to be able to clearly explain not just what the answer is if they give you a problem to solve, but walk through your problem-solving process. They're trying to see how you approach these sorts of problems and the logic that you use to answer them. Number 3 is to make sure that you practice behavioral interviewing. So these are all the types of questions around, tell me about a time when. And the most common way and a very wonderful structure to use to answer these questions is called the STAR method. Very briefly, and I've done other videos on this method more in depth, but it's STAR, situation, task, action, result. It's a great way to structure the situation, the task, your responsibility in that situation, and the story that you're telling, the actions that you took, and what's the final result. Can you wrap that up in a way that helps me as the interviewer understand why did this matter and what was the final result from doing all this work that you did? If you can put together a number of stories and answers to questions ahead of time, then those stories are going to be much easier to find and use in your mind and then effectively communicate in there. And finally, 4, in all of this, practice confident communication. And this is present. Body language has a huge impact on this. And also just putting in the reps. So finding friends or others or coaches who can help you do some mock interviews to practice and prepare confidently so that when you show up, you're not thinking so much about what you're doing or getting wrong or things you wish you would have said, but you can be present and powerful as you show up so that they can see the kind of things that you can, so that they can see the kind of things that you can really do and who you really are as you approach these situations. So if you've got an interview coming up, please make sure to prepare deeply for the type of interview you're going to be facing and practice as much as you can so that when you show up, you can be confident and put your best foot forward. And no matter what happens, make sure to look at this as a learning experience. So even if you don't get this job, this is going to be a great experience that's going to help you on the next interview. Thanks so much for watching and being here. Please make sure to like and subscribe the video if this was helpful for you. And if you want to connect about any of my intentional development programs, then we can talk about that. Please make sure to reach out to me here or on LinkedIn or otherwise, and we can talk about how we can help you become more intentional in your life and career. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you on the next video.